right, it's Jonathan, Rachel, and Logan tonight. We're going to be talking about three different series. We have Annihilation 2099, we have Batman and Robin, and then My Adventures with Superman. So that's what's on the agenda tonight. We're going to start off with Annihilation 2099. And Logan, I know you've read the first three issues, so you can kind of give us your thoughts up to this point.
So each it's kind of like an anthology kind of thing where it's kind of unique in the sense that issues are coming out each week instead of each month, and each one kind of is like focusing on a different new character that they're doing, kind of like 2099 versions of different cosmic characters, and kind of expanding that universe in that sense. So the first three issues that week were Nova was issue 1, and Nova 2099, Star Lord 2099, and then this issue 3 was Red Hulk 2099, which you probably wouldn't consider to be much of a cosmic character, but they kind of did a little interesting thing with that. Should I go like issue by issue, or?
Yeah, you just talk about some things that you liked, and then maybe some things you didn't like. Just
I think the character designs were great. That was for the most part. I think most of the designs looked cool. Nova 2099 looked a little too kind of, what's the phrase people use, tactical or whatever, where it felt like it was like very almost MCU-ified. Like it felt more like a military uniform than a superhero costume, which I guess kind of fit like a theme and everything. But so like, I wasn't. I have a problem with the Nova design per se, but compared to just like the Richard Rider's Nova Prime costume, it's just like to me it's just way better. Plus, and this is a really minor nitpick. But I'm a really big Nova fan, so big deal to me. It uses Richard Rider's Nova Prime 8-point star, even though the character in the book is not a Nova Prime, and that doesn't make any sense. They kind of just ignored the old ranking system that was already established. You know what? It's fine. It looks cool enough.
Is it fine? Is it really fine though?
In case you can't tell, I'm a big Nova fan.
Couldn't tell.
Spoiler alert. Yeah.
Cue the sound effects.
Yeah, sound effects. Nova in the book is actually Wolverine. Because I guess there's something about they were trying to put the Nova Force into someone's cells so that they didn't need to have like a connection or whatever. They could just have it all stored within themselves. And they wanted to use Wolverine because his healing factor was able to like let him survive the operation. And the story was kind of, it was like, yep, this sure is Annihilation 2099. That issue 1 is like, there's some kind of parasite that popped up. I don't know, it was kind of weird. It was kind of all over the place. Because at first there was like these parasites that wanted to be on the energy or whatever. And then there was some kind of like cult that was following Null. And like that, like a symbiote stuff, and he fought them. And then it switched over to something with Dracula. So, I don't, or whatever the 2099 quote-unquote Dracula is. I haven't, apparently it ties into some Spider-Man 2099 books that I didn't read. So it's that last bit was a continuation of that, so I don't really know what's happening there.
I did read the first issue. It seemed like that portion was almost like a side story, but I'm not sure.
I think it's going to be like a connective tissue between the different like anthology stories. Like it's building up to something.
It was weird though. I was like, what's going on
here? Yeah. Like I said, there's something from carrying over from Spider-Man 2099, that book. Yeah, honestly, to me, like a lot of these stories just feel like there's kind of, brief little, like, here's the character, here's some things they can do, kind of showing it off. It does feel to me like a lot of it's just an excuse for them to make cool character designs for the future in space, and just kind of throw them all in a book together. And that's fine. But then you slap, and like, on its own, I think that's cool and everything. Making more Cosmic 2099 characters is always great, because that kind of style, a futuristic style, combined with the cosmic stuff, always ends up looking really cool. But like, then you slap the Annihilation title on that, and now like Alan's just like, well, now you have a reputation to live up to, right? If you're saying, oh, we're like the 29 version of Annihilation, and so far it just feels like they're just using that name as like a, hey, it's a cosmic thing.
Yeah.
As opposed to actually what I went in expecting was, oh, it's like the equivalent, like it's a big cosmic event bringing all these characters together. And so I was almost like part way disappointed, especially at first, because I'm a huge fan of that's Annihilation, that story in the comics and everything. And it kind of felt like almost like it is advertising for something that it isn't. But if you purely on its own merits, though, I mean, it really is something that you just kind of read for the art. The story is so far at least has been pretty much nothing. It's just kind of it feels more like an excuse to make cool set pieces and make up backstories for the characters.
So not a lot of substance.
No. But the art is great. The designs are great, and it really feels like that is the primary focus of the series.
Interesting. Anything else you want to add, or is that all we want to say for now?
I don't think I really. I mean, they brought out Terrax, which is the second time in this month that somebody decided to remember Terrax.
I guess there's something.
I guess so. Yeah. It's the Giant Head Silver Surfer also had Terrax. I thought it was not.
Well, it makes sense in the Silver Surfer book.
Yeah.
He is a pretty recognizable character in that series. All right, very good. Well, that was Annihilation 2099. Sounds like it's kind of meh. Would you say?
It depends.
Yeah.
All I'm going to say is it very much depends on what you're looking for, and you need to know. You'll be disappointed if you go in expecting Annihilation. Do not expect Annihilation. Yeah, if you expect Annihilation, that's not what you're going to get. Gotcha. If you just want to see cool, flashy space stuff with great designs and art, and you just want to see cool giant dudes fight in space, then sure.
Who doesn't?
But if you're looking for kind of like the more emotional stakes or story or whatever that the original Annihilation had, that's not really what you should be going in expecting.
All right, very good. Thank you, Logan, for that review. All right. Well, it's you and me now, Rachel. Hello, there. That's right. We're not actually alone. Logan's technically still here. But the radio audience doesn't know that. Not that we have a video audience.
You don't know that. They're watching right now.
The government?
They're always watching.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Well, we're not that kind of podcast, though. We don't do conspiracy theories. So.
You don't?
No.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
So you've been cutting out all those hours of me ranting about conspiracy theories?
Yes, we have. Sorry to break it to you, kid.
Man.
Let us begin, perhaps, with Batman and Robin. Number 10. We're getting into double digits. Night of the Man-Bat.
I'm pretty sure Robin's older than the double digits.
Well, that's always a milestone, right? You get to double digits. So I think things kind of come to a head, so to speak, in the story. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I don't think I will be sad about Bat going bye-bye. I'm not a fan of Bat.
You're not a fan of Bat?
No. Not my favorite villain.
Okay.
But they definitely team up against their villain, figure out what will be his own demise. And meanwhile, there's a subplot going on in the background. And so you have a couple of different storylines happening in the meanwhile. So it's been a good story, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I just don't care for the villain very much.
I get you.
I just don't, and I don't care for. I like the style of the book. I like the art. I just don't care for the art of that character.
Okay, the design of the character.
Yeah. Gotcha. So, It's just not my favorite. But yeah, otherwise, yeah. So everything else, they continue with the mystery of who's who and what's what as the Batman and Robin mystery of the greatest detectives continues, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I liked it was interesting because this had two different artists, so I think they mixed it pretty well. There was there were certain they used the two different artists for different scenes, so it wasn't like you had it went up to page 15 and all of a sudden it's a new artist,
Right?
so there was some thought behind it, right? So I don't know exactly why there was two artists in this book. I know that it's an artist that was, and I forget the name off the top of my head, but because there was the main artist that started it, right? That had that very kind of a unique style, and then I think it was when Robin started going to the high school, they switched to a different artist, and so I think, and I don't know if that was intentional or if that was situational, but they kept going with that. So in this issue, yeah, you have some sections have uh, the original artist on the book, and then some sections have the new artist. Primarily, it seems like when it was like Robin at the high school, right? So, and that's kind of the issue, some of the issues that this other artist was doing before. So, it fits, I think, in that sense. So, I think they did the best they can. Personally, I prefer having one artist on a book, at least for a story arc. I know that time time crunch. You need to get things done. I don't know if that's what happened here.
Well, I think it was the whole team, though. I mean, it was
Yeah.
different colorists
Yeah.
for those pages too.
Right. So, but one of the things that that I've liked about this book is just the back and forth with Batman and Robin, and the whole father son thing going on, but they're also crime fighters, so it's all only something you would see in a comic book, right?
Yeah.
But no, overall it's been good, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. Logan, will you be your father's Robin?
Not about my life.
Not a what?
Not about my life.
Yeah, of course.
It's a little dangerous. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In real life, Bruce Wayne should be arrested for child endangerment, but yeah, it's a comic.
Yeah,
and
he lets Robin drive too.
Yeah, that's Robin drive.
And I don't think until very recently in comics he didn't actually officially adopt Dick Grayson, so it's kind of kidnapping.
That's fair.
Technicality.
That's why he always gets orphans, because no one will look for them except for Tim Drake. But no one cared. I don't think even his parents care about Tim Drake.
Oh, poor Tim Drake.
DC sure doesn't.
All right, so that's it right now for Batman and Robin number 10. So I guess if you like the kind of father-son dynamic with a story, if you like in my opinion, a pretty good Batman story. Like I said, lots of mysteries, lots of things to discover, things that are still not known yet. Then that might be a good series to check out.
Yeah.
All right. So next up, we have here My Adventures with Superman #1, and I guess we could include #2 as well because it's actually a multi-part story anyway.
Not the show.
Not the show,
but
it's the tie-in comic.
Yeah.
And of course, I didn't know this because I got the alternate cover, so I didn't see the original cover until it was too late. And to warn you, you started reading it and didn't realize that it actually takes place in between seasons 1 and 2 of the animated series. And we hadn't started the show and then paused it to watch some other stuff, and then we came back. But I think you'd already read issue 1 before that, right?
Yeah.
So you got spoiled. I'm sorry. I failed this family.
Yeah, I read 1 and 2. So.
Oh, okay, so you're all in there.
Yeah.
Not everyone feels the same about being spoiled.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not. It doesn't matter to me as much.
So I do like that. It's cool to know that because I don't usually pick up tie-in comics for shows because a lot of times they just are a comic book version of the show. And I'm like, I've seen the show. Why do I want the comic if I've already seen that story? You know what I mean? I'd rather see new. If I'm going to pay for a comic, I want a new story, right?
You don't want the show in just a printed version.
Now, I know that just like if you're reading a book, a comic version of a show can do more. It can extrapolate. It could do. Yeah, I'm sure that, like for instance, the Ahsoka series that's out right now, which is of course the comic version of the Ahsoka TV series. I'm sure they put extra stuff in there. Maybe stuff that was cut from the original story. Who knows? Maybe
little trinkets.
Yeah, they probably do. But again, I've already seen that. But anyway, so this actually takes place in between, which is nice. So we get some fresh stories that kind of bridge the gap between the two seasons. And so this one actually features Mazo as the villain. And Clark has to make a choice at the end and about the fate of Amazo. And he says, I have made a mistake because he allowed Amazo to be taken by the government because it turns out Amazo is much a victim in all of this as anything else. So I thought the story was good. The art is solid. I think it mimics the animated series pretty well.
Yeah.
So it kind of feels like you're reading the show, which is good. The characters are written, very similar to the show as well. Even the side characters. We get, I want to say, because I don't think, what's her face? Blonde, the cat. I don't think she was introduced in the first season, was she?
Yeah.
Season 1? We just watched season 2.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, she wasn't.
She wasn't,
no.
Yeah. So this would be like the introduction for the character. Okay. So that's cool. So they must, and I would assume this because it is not just treading over the original story. I'm assuming the creators of this comic are tightly involved with the show.
I'm assuming so.
Yeah, because they wouldn't want to, use a character in a certain way that would conflict with the show. So I'm sure that's
that's happened a lot before.
Yeah,
with other shows like those. I don't remember what this series was called, but they did some tie-ins to the DCAU that almost all of them became completely non-canon because the same characters got introduced differently later on in the show.
But yeah, overall, I think, I said first issue was good. Was a good start. Any thoughts about issue 1?
No, I mean, I liked it. I'll be honest, the show was kind of a rough start for me.
Yeah.
It's not entirely my style.
Yeah, it definitely kind of leans more toward the kind of almost anime teen kind of.
Yeah. So I kind of I had to put my toes into the water. I couldn't just dive in, which is why I was okay with us kind of taking a break for a little bit and coming back to it. But I agree. I think the books kind of helped me with that too.
Yeah.
Because it let me warm up to it a little bit more in my own way without a lot of the noise that the show has, which is a little bit harder for me.
Yeah.
The book, obviously, I can put my own voice to it. I don't have to.
Yeah.
I don't have to have as much over imaginative drama to it. So I like that aspect of it. But yeah, I think that I do like that the art still has the same type of feel to match the show because it makes sense.
Right.
Would I like it also if it had its own style? I think so, but I think it makes sense for it to keep in character and match.
Right.
So, and it's, still got the humor. It's still, on point with that, and it's a good, it's a good substitute for when you're in between.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I understand, what you mean by the noise, right? Yeah, it definitely. And it was interesting though. Just kind of switching gears, talking about the series, the animated series. I did see a shift though. I did feel like, especially toward the end of the first season, and now as we get into the second season, it seemed like they've toned that down a little bit. Would you agree? A little bit, at least.
Or are you just getting used to it?
Maybe I'm getting used to it. Yeah.
I think it's possible that it could be a little of both. Maybe they've toned it just slightly, but you also might start to adjust. But I personally, I try to, I would lean more towards it, the less, but I think they're going for a certain audience.
They are.
So
They are.
they feel that's what's going to work in this case.
Yeah. So issue one kind of set the stage. So Clark and company are going to this military base where they believe that Amazo is being held at, and the base has this red sun simulated device that's going to keep Clark from using his powers. So they have to be just intrepid reporters. And it turns out Jimmy's been marked by the government.
Well, Jimmy doesn't know how to be quiet.
Right, he doesn't. He's a very loud character. But
Jimmy's the best.
Yeah, him and his flame bird. Man, if I had, I want something that if I said the word every time, there would be the sound effect in the background. That'd be funny.
Just gotta get really rich and then hire someone to follow you around.
Follow me around and go. Anytime I say it's a flame bird.
Just set up your phone.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, have it listen for the word, and whenever it hears the word, it make a noise. So this issue is interesting. So spoiler alert: Amazo escapes with the help of Clark and company. But also, there's a subplot here too with Checkmate, and there's factions inside of Checkmate that are kind of fighting each other. So that was kind of interesting. But in the end, Clark is in trouble.
Yeah. He let himself get a little distracted.
Yeah.
Didn't keep his eye out or his ears to the ground, so to speak. In his haste. So we're gonna have to see what happens.
All right. Now, of course, we know everything's okay.
Is it that? Is it?
Well, we've already watched season 2, and he's not in jail. So we know he somehow gets out of jail. We don't know how.
I think
or
it's kind of hard to keep Clark in cuffs.
This is true, but he couldn't. See, the trouble is if Clark got arrested, he couldn't just bust himself out of prison, because then people might make the connection, like, where'd Clark go? And then Superman's flying around.
Well, Superman saved him.
Oh, okay, there you go. But then Superman, and then everyone wouldn't like Superman because, Superman's breaking the law. Although technically he already is, because he's technically a vigilante, again, because comic books. What are you going to do?
Have adventures with Superman.
That's it for our reviews, our books for today. Again, we had Annihilation 2099, the first couple of issues. We had Batman and Robin number 10, double digits. And finally, My Adventures with Superman, first couple of issues. So that will about do it for this episode. So I've been Jonathan.
And I might have been Logan, or maybe I'm a government employee. You never know.
And this is Rachel.
And you've been listening to Comic Talk Cafe.
Trust no one, not even yourself.